From Lalate headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons Lalate.
It's a big afternoon of Afternoons LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. With a deal happening, that deal could be hatched and revealed as early as the end of today, if not by Sunday. The latest details in today's breaking news report. Then, Americans don't know a recon exists. I'll explain to you why this has been a big problem for the Democrats and what they're doing to solve the problem. The price is right. $1.7 to $2 trillion is the price of that recon. We'll go over the meat and potatoes of the recording as we go over what provisions are staying in, what provisions are going out, what provisions are getting watered down. I have the latest update as the president addresses the American people in a CNN town hall meeting. Student loan debt. It could be the latest add-on, and it would be a standalone provision. It would be an executive order, and more debt could be forgiven by the weekend. I have the latest details on that as well. And then COLA. Get ready because your COLA is going up, and that is not what's only going to go up. Fifth stimulus is heating up, and now the Democrats say they are ready to do fifth stimulus. The latest update for the first time in weeks about fifth stimulus. And then we look back at the first 1.5 years of this channel. We'll see what we've learned over the last year and a half. We'll learn what we've seen as a family and what we've learned going forward as a community. For 140 million views. I got all that, but I got the breaking news about which programs in, which programs out. Latest developing details. It's going to shock you. There's a lot at changing and a lot at flux. I got all the incredible details and all the breaking elements, and it starts right now on Afternoons Lalate. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day. And boy, we are close to a deal. The deal could be released as early as the end of today, if not by Sunday. I'm going to go over the latest details about the recon that will likely come in at 1.7 to 2 trillion. The breaking news will be the meat and potato of this recording, going over which programs in, which programs out, which programs reduced, and which programs being added to. Student loan debt could be added to with another round this week, and I have the latest details on that. Then COLA, guess what? Because we're just getting started on COLA. COLA has another lift up, but guess what? Fifth stimulus is coming right behind it. Yes, this is getting very exciting as the Democrats now say that they will be providing a fifth stimulus package, and it's for my people and my benefits. Then we look back at the first year and a half of this channel, and the first 140 million views, what we've learned as a community and what we learned about ourselves. That's coming up later in this recording. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers of YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Let's cut right into this incredible recon. This fourth stimulus check update of 2021, starting right now with the recon. That'll pay viewers on this channel an average of $15,000. The recon is for everyone. It's nationwide. It is red states, blue states. It is people single, married, with children, without children, old, young, with jobs, and without jobs, and would pay you about $15,000. As soon as the recon becomes law, I'm going to show you how to get this incredible sums of money. Let's go over each of these clusters of checks and see which ones are in and which ones are out, which ones reduced and which ones added to on Afternoons. Hazard pay and $4,000 of elder care. In the first cluster, what we've often seen as sort of the Nirvana cluster, the cluster that no one seems to want to touch. So far, so good. Let's see what happens now. Hazard pay, staying in there. This is the big earned income tax credit, broadening the eligibility, increasing the amount of money. And this would stay in there for my essential workers. $4,000 of elder care, up to $4,000 to care for an elder person per year, up to $4,000 to care for a young child per year. They got college grants in there, staying in there so far for the university, for the student, and the Pell's grant made tax-free. But the CTC, the child tax credit, if you watched Evenings LA last night, I saw your jokes. They were good. The CTC, the child tax credit going from 15 years, 18 years, 5 years, down to 1 year. It'll be 1 year, about $300 a month every month for 1 year. That's about $3,000. More about that later in this video. Then they got money in there for the home, to fix the home if you live in a low-income community. It's not law yet. As soon as it becomes law, I'm going to show you how to get the money. And then they got money for the car, the truck, and the bike. 15% for the purchase of a new electric bike, all U.S. auto manufactured. $7,500 for the purchase of a new electric car, and then a little bit more for a business car. And that is the first cluster of checks passed, and you see which ones are staying in there and so far not getting removed. Let's go to the first add-on, and that first add-on comes from the illustrious Maxine Waters, who will always give you an update because she loves to tell you what's going on. She wants to add in $25,000 for your first-time home buyers. Any updates about this? No updates yet. Do I think it's going to last? I don't know. I really don't know. She's having problems with her own provision that's already in the recon pass, which is $200 billion for rental assistance. It's a lot, $200 billion, because third stimulus was $47 billion for rental assistance. She already has 200 in there approved, and she's trying to add this $25,000 for first-time homebuyers. I don't know the fate of it, but I think this one could be in jeopardy, the $25,000, and I think that the rental assistance for $200 billion is going to get lowered, because the previous package was 46 and it's 5 times the amount, 500% higher. Doesn't make sense. Here comes cluster number 2. Okay, here comes cluster number 2 with more money for those home repairs. And then we got paid family leave and paid medical leave. Well, here we go. They got paid family leave and medical leave. They got childcare credits. They got household credits. They got pre-kindergarten tuition-free community college, and they got money in there to weatherize your home. You know, if there's one thing you can depend on the Democrats, weatherization withstands the bad weather. Weatherization just keeps on staying in there so far. So good. People love this on this channel. They love the weatherizing your home. Not low-income communities. Everyone definitely need it, especially if the moderate Democrats are on the roof. And I always say, make sure you weatherize the home. Keep the moderate Democrats out of the House, and wherever possible, keep the moderate Democrats out of the Senate. What are the updates on some of these provisions? First, the family and medical leave. I'm coming up to later in this video. It's a battleground. People are trying to take it out. The dental vision hearing is a big battleground, and it was addressed by the president in last night's CNN town hall meeting. I have the latest update about that. It is a battleground. It's still in there, but a battleground. Tuition-free community college. Jalapal told us it was out. I said it was out. And Nancy said, Lalate, what are you talking about? It's still in there. Well, she didn't say Lalate, but she did say it's still in there. So that is very Jekyll and Hyde. It's in, it's out. It's like a bad mafia movie. So there we go. Let's cut to the second add-on, and it comes from Bob Casey, the wonderful senator from Pennsylvania, the 61-year-old. He wants to provide $250 billion to the states for home health care. Sounds wonderful. What does he want to do? Give money to the states so that they can offer you home health care totally free, and your son and daughter can go back in the workplace. Do I see $250 billion happening? Absolutely not. Not at this point. We're looking at a $2 trillion bill. This would be a quarter of the entire price tag of the recon. No, he's not going to get $250 billion. Maybe get something smaller. I don't know how he would be happy with something smaller. Maybe he just wants to do it for a year or 2 years. I think it's a great add-on, but at $250 billion, I don't see it happening. But we have no updates about it. That is certainly where we are. Cluster number 3, which is the Game of Thrones cluster. It is like the Atlanta Housewives reunion cluster. It's where it gets really messy. This is about as messy as a cluster can be. It's a cluster, yeah, that word. Free school meals for all checks, cheaper prescription medication checks, checks for free internet, checks for farmers, checks for clean energy, checks for workers, checks for dental, vision, hearing care, and lowering the eligibility age for seniors. Let's go over the fate of those provisions that were passed in the House subcommittee. Which ones are gone, which ones are out, and which ones are in trouble. So, the prescription medication, the language is likely going to get changed but not removed for Kristen Sinema. The clean energy, not the whole provision, but the one that concerns a bad item for Joe Manchin out. That's really one of the best provisions to have been removed, because that's what brought Joe Manchin on board with this recon. That provision's out and staying out. I had the exclusive about that last week, and the president confirms it's staying out. The dental, vision, and hearing is a big battleground. A lot of people want it out, and later in this video, you're going to be surprised who wants it out. Actually, 2 people from polar opposites want it out, and one guy really wants it in. Then the lowering the eligibility age of Medicare. Well, that one is a Bob Casey, and he's looking to drop it to 60 years of age. He is 61 years of age. It's currently at 65, the program. And that brings us to our third add-on. That third add-on, of course, is MSC, Monthly Stimulus Check, IRS. And we have three issues we're going to go over about this, which is when, where, and how, and then us. Where, when, and how. First, the where is very fascinating. It can be done on the House side or the Senate side. The how, by a Chuck Schumer or an Omar Pelosi or Jalopal type group. Let's go over the details right now. What you're seeing right at the moment is Democrats trying to get an agreement on the recon by the end of the week, which, my end of the week is Sunday. I have maybe their end of the week is Friday, by the end of the week. And then writing it up for a House bill for next week, for a House vote by the end of next week. So the House members have a lot of opportunities to add it on the House side. First, before they write the House bill. Second, after they write the House bill, but before they call the vote on the House bill, meaning it's not in the House bill, they introduce amendments on the House side. That's what Omar's office told viewers this channel this week. That's what Pelosi's office has said before. That's what AOC and Omar and Jalopal said. Added is as amendment after we have the House bill, but before we have a House vote. Then, of course, the big one is the Senate. If the House does not put it in there, does not vote on it on the House side, the senators could add it in there. And Chuck Schumer has said several times to viewers of this channel, like Debbie Applegate a week ago, Donnie's wife the week before that, and another viewer last weekend, that he's going to add it in there on the Senate side. When? Two-day event called the Vote-A-Rama. It's the final 2 days of this entire process. The Vote-A-Rama is where they introduce changes to whatever is in the House legislation. And the changes can be totally brand new things. If you've been with this channel since earlier this year, you'll remember one of the biggest items of the Vote-A-Rama that senators did wasn't even discussed by the House members, was when student loan debt is forgiven, you do not have to pay taxes on it. Did you know that if the federal government forgave student loan debt of, let's say, $40,000 for you, you would have to pay almost $25,000 of taxes right away that year? Yes. So Chuck Schumer and Liz Warren got a provision by Vote-A-Rama in the spring when the third stimulus package landed in the Senate that said if we ever forgave anyone's student loan debts, you would not have to pay taxes on it. They slid in, they passed it, and that is why every time student loan debt is forgiven, you do not have to pay taxes on it. It's something the House members didn't take care of. They didn't even think about it. They didn't even have a provision about it. So that is how they get it done. Finally, we turn to the last part, which is really important one, which is advocacy. Let's look at this incredible message from the number one senator for this recon and his chief of staff. The chief of staff says that in total now we have congressional senator offices receive more contacts of advocacy from Lalate than the number of signatures in the American petition. Everyone's amazed by the outpouring of touching stories, that they have a better understanding of what the average Americans are trying to make through this pandemic. They have heartbreaking stories from the Lalate viewers, and they have the voice of the people across the nation in you, Lalate, as you have become too loud to be ignored. Very, very kind. Let's read that last sentence on air together. That last sentence on air says, basically, for us to continue to advocate. Please continue your encouragement for the continued advocacy. As you are the professional voice of the people, you have become Lalate until this becomes law. Very, very kind. What it's saying is, we need to advocate. You need to advocate before we have a House bill, after we have a House bill, before we have a House vote, after we have a House vote, before we have a Vote-A-Rama, while we're having a Vote-A-Rama, because the finish line is still there. And with that, in the second half of this video, we have the meat and potatoes. You want to know what's in, what's out, what's being removed. It's the latest breaking details on afternoons. A deal will be happening, but what items are in there? I have the latest details in this recording. You're going to be surprised as one person and another person are both going after Bernie Sanders on one provision. I'm surprised by this one. And then we'll be turning back over to the programs in and the programs out, and we'll be understanding why more student loan debt could be forgiven this weekend, and the first update about fifth stimulus in several weeks. Very exciting. And then we look back at the first 1.5 years of this channel and what we've learned as a community and a family. I have all those incredible details and more as we return with the big breaking news at afternoons. I'll see you back in 60 seconds, but first, here's the community page. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.lalate.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LA Late Daily for the excitement of the new LA Late live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LA Late at 9 a.m. Home LA Late returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LA Late at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LA Late. And a deal could be happening by this weekend, if not by today. Democrats represent that a deal is looming and they think they're going to get it done. The president told Americans overnight it's going to happen. The deal is happening. So I have the latest details on his comments and what's happening across the board. Then, Democrats having problems telling American people that the recon even exists. Did last night's CNN town hall help? I'll have the latest details. Programs in, programs out. Price is right. Where is it? 1.7 to 2 trillion. But which programs were removed? Here come the meat and potatoes of this recording. The blood and guts. I'll go over which programs in, which ones out. It's changing, and these are the latest changes. I'm surprised by what I have to report. It's coming up in just a second in this recording. Then, more student loan debt could be forgiven. And who is it for? Then, we got exciting details as this stimulus is actually being talked about. Wow, this is great news. And this is as your COLA benefits are going up. Then we look back at the first 1.5 years of this channel, what we've learned as a community and what we've learned as a family. I'll go over the latest details of what we know and what we have not known over the last year and a half. And we got a big second half of this recording, and I'm excited you're here. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. Hit that subscribe button right now. 140 million views as well. I want you to be part of this incredible family because this is the family that is less than 10% of Americans that know that a recon exists. Like the video and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Let's go right into all this breaking news right now and starting right now. The President of the United States addressed the American people last night in a CNN town hall meeting. And what was his message? His opening remarks was that much of what I said on this channel is that a deal is happening. That's what the president said very clearly in his town hall meeting. He did not give a timeline for the deal, but he said it absolutely will be happening. Let's go over some of his comments and let's go over some of the reaction. So the president says, I think I will be getting a deal. And he says, I'm relatively good. I am relatively good at putting together deals because look, I was a senator for 370 years. Well, 369, I think it was. Then he gave us some insight. He said, Sinema is smart as a devil, very supportive of my environmental legislation. Oh, who knew that? But she's not raising a single penny on corporate taxes or wealth taxes. That was a big surprise that broadcast media heard last night. But it was not a surprise to you because I've been delivering the last 2 days where she did not want to raise corporate taxes. But I did not know about the wealth tax. That's a new one. Then the White House aide came back and clarified the statement from the president. The president was referring to the challenge of votes moving forward and raising corporate taxes, not the ability to raise revenue through our tax fairness proposals which Sinema supports. So what do I think about that? It sort of goes back to what I said in my reporting. Sinema does support the rich person's taxes, doesn't support the corporate tax. So I think my reporting was correct and the president made a snafu. I think that's why the aide had to clarify it. Meantime, during the press conference, the president said, Joe is not a bad guy. He's a great friend of mine. And I think he has great ideas. But one of the proposals he's against. Which one is it? I got it for you in just a second. So Jalapal believes that the deal will be done. She did not want to use a date when she talked about her dates, unlike Nancy and Chuck, who love dates. We're going to get both of them done, says Jalapal. We're going to get them both done. It's a messy process. Democracy is not always easy. Negotiations not always easy. There are differences. Everybody knows there are differences. We have to bridge them, come together, because at the end of the day, we have to do both bills and bring them to the president's table. She spoke with Joe Manchin early this week for the first time ever about this recon and said the meeting was a great time to spend together. And Chris Coons, the first guy to ever say that he was going to give you a monthly stimulus check among senators, says we're getting there. Folks are more clear-eyed. The gaps are closing. The vibe of the caucus is different. And December is not a good time to do this. John Tester says, I think we're getting to the point where things are moving along very well. What is the overview of the situation? Things have really narrowed quickly. Why? Because of really basically three events. One, a key provision that concerned climate, clean energy, which we now know concerned coal and some of the old industries of the state of West Virginia. Joe Manchin said you had to take those out. Why were those provisions such a detriment to Joe Manchin? Because it would put millions of Americans in the state of West Virginia out of work overnight. And he says, I can't do that. I can't do that to my citizens. So they took it out, and that is where things started moving along. Then it became a recon that Joe Manchin and everyone else could do. Suddenly, Joe Manchin became Nirvana. He started telling people, I'll tell you what I want, I'll tell you what I don't want. And things just moved along really well. The meeting with Jalapal appears to have really helped as well. Somehow, the two of them getting along really helped. And finally, people started telling each other what they wanted. And I think dropping the price tag out of the $3 trillion range into the twos really got things going. What's not going is Americans don't know this recon exists. As this channel approaches its 1.5 year anniversary, this channel and you and I have all done really well in learning stuff, but Americans outside of this channel have not. What's going on? 90% of Americans polled in a new CBS poll said they do not even know the recon exists. Obviously, they're not my viewers. And of the 10% that do know the recon exists, they cannot tell you what's in there. This is why the president may have had that CNN town hall meeting yesterday, because there was a big concern that Americans don't even know that this is going on. If you don't know what's going on, then how are you even part of the discussion? Senator Majority Whip Dick Durbin, Democrat Illinois, says, I do not doubt this one bit. I think it's our fault as Democrats. We've undersold it and underperformed it too long, and now it's our chance to end really strong. The price is right. Where will the price land? It will land somewhere between 1.7 and 2 trillion, I've been reporting. What are the three numbers? Let's go over the three numbers. 1.7 is what the moderate Democrats want. 2 trillion is what the president said this week he wants it to land at. Moderate Democrats also said they'll go to 1.9 before they start to feel seasickness. In the last few weeks, the last few months, I've delivered a lot of exclusives about the duration of the programs and the price tags. At $3.5 trillion, the recon were running 10-year programs. I had reported, and it's now been confirmed. So if you split 3.5 in half, you split 10 years in half, then you get 1.7 5-year programs. That's why 1.7 5-year programs looks great. 1.9 would probably be about 6-year programs. 2 trillion may be a little bit more than 6 years. And that is why this all works. Viewers of this channel, yourself and me included, all say that we need big checks first, second, and third year. After that, it's fine. So what's also important to understand is that it's not going to be a blanket number for all programs. Some programs may be 1 year, while other programs may be 8 years, but they may average out to 5 years. The president's being decisive, is showing strong leadership, says Debbie Dingell. We're getting these things done. It's a real consensus that we see it going, and people are very envisioned, says Patty Murray. And Steny Hoyer says we're working on both bills to get them passed. The success is towards the ends. Provisions coming in, provisions going out. The latest details on this. We were told on Wednesday afternoon by Jalapal the following quote, that there will be something in there for higher education, but it probably will not be community college. We were told it's taken out. I recorded that Nancy may have heard me, because Nancy said, who said it's coming out? It's not coming out. Timelines. We got updates about timelines late yesterday. I think members are now in the position that they want to get something done, that we're all in the 10th. The margin of error is very narrow. Then Pelosi says we're on schedule for our milestones. Milestones are sort of these markers where they are along the process. And she says we continue to meet each of our markers. So I think we're going to reach our goal. And then when talking every time I look at this quote, I just break out laughing. She says, when talking about the paid leave and childcare, paid leave under the second cluster, she says it has to stay in there. This is the Pelosi provision. Because why? I've changed more diapers than anyone in this room. I guess she refers to children's diapers. There we go. Oh boy, I did say it. Big cuts. There are big cuts coming. Ben Cardin, it says the big cuts coming across the board. Do not be surprised. But Chuck Schumer said on Wednesday that we want to finalize this by the end of the week, but we all must keep on going. When asked about student loan debt, when asked about college tuition-free community college being removed, or the paid leave, the diaper stimulus, Pelosi said, "News to me, that's not a decision." So which provisions in and which ones out? As of Thursday, these were the provisions and what was going on. I'll tell you which ones have changed of this. Child care tax credit, 1 year. No change on that, still at 1 year. Obama subsidies and Medicare expansion, no change on that, still in there as of Thursday, still in there as of today. Medicare expansion, dental, vision, hearing care, lifetime benefits was not looking like it was going to be lifetime. Bernie wants it lifetime. As of Thursday, it looked like it was not going to be a lifetime. As of today, it looks like it's absolutely not going to be lifetime. Why? Because the president even brought it up during the CNN town hall. If the president's going to bring up a provision they sees it's in trouble, it's really in trouble. I mean, because look, we're looking at 20, 30 provisions here, and he's telling the American people which one's in trouble. Yeah, and whose provision is it? Bernie's. It's not very cool to look at TV and then you're like, oh, there's my provision. He's bringing up my provisions that's in trouble. Thank you, Mr. President. The president said, Joe Manchin is not a bad guy. He's a friend of mine, but we cannot get Joe Manchin to agree on dental, vision, and hearing care benefits. I think they're good ideas, but here's the thing, Mr. Manchin opposes them. That was a big revelation last night because we did not know the opposition was coming from Joe Manchin. Guess what? Who's also against it? The president himself. He didn't. It's sort of cute. He blames Joe Manchin for this provision. The president's against the provision as well. He's blaming someone else for it during the CNN town hall. The president has told Bernie he wants to do it as vouchers. Bernie said no. The president said, let's do it for 3 years. Bernie said no. And of course, what does the president say on CNN? Of course, what the president says to Bernie about the vouchers on the 3-year timeline, that's off the record. That's a person close to the negotiations. That's not a press conference. That's me giving you inside information. When he's in front of TV cameras, what does the president say? Joe Manchin doesn't want it. He doesn't say he doesn't want it. He says Joe Manchin doesn't want it. Interesting. Yeah, we got it, Joe. One of the Joes. Joe. He just says Joe doesn't want it. Okay, yeah, okay. Which Joe? Well, I'm not going to answer that question. Then clean energy, electricity, performance program, definitely out and staying out. That was the Joe Manchin provision. And that is really, really why this recon is getting done. It was a very polarizing provision. And now that I know what the provision is, I have to sort of say, what the world were you doing putting it in there? What the world were you doing putting it in there? Whoever put that in there should be ashamed of themselves because it's a recon. You have to have all the Democrats on board. And now I know what this provision was. It was basically to put millions of people in the state of West Virginia out of work overnight. I mean, you may not like coal as an energy source, but to pass a bill overnight in the middle of the holidays where people just putting millions of people out of work overnight, of course Senator Joe Manchin is going to vote against it. If I was their senator, I would vote against it. If you were their senator, you probably grew up in that industry if you live in that state. So it was. I'm shocked whoever tried to even put that in there. Now I feel a little bit more for the pain Joe Manchin had to go through. And that's why I said it was a non-starter. It absolutely was a non-starter. I didn't know what it was. And I really think the person who put it in there needs to explain to the American people, why were you doing this? Because you wasted 4 months of our time on a provision. No senator of any year representing the state of West Virginia would ever have done this. No one's going to put their entire state out of war, vast majority of their state out of work. Again, I'm not a West Virginia person. I'm just going based upon the reporting of what's said in that state. I don't know how many people do coal and things like that. I'm just going based upon the reporting. Salt tax. Salt is bad for you. And they're not putting salt in there either. The push to put the cap on state and local tax deduction out. Community college. Okay, what is it doing? It is either going to go from 0 to 2 years. So this is all very fluid. It's not going to be lifetime, and it's not going to be 5 years. The best they're going to get on this is tuition-free community college for 2 years. So study quickly. Sinema and her secrets. Not so much anymore, because Veronica Escobar, who I quoted over the last 2 days, was going, yeah, on Sinema, saying, you are just not telling me what you want. Well, apparently she told the president what she doesn't want. She doesn't want the corporate taxes, but she will do the wealth tax. So great news upon that. What do we also know? We also know that there are new battlegrounds today, and one provision that's definitely not going somewhere. Last night, we all had a big laugh in the evening's LA show as one person, House Appropriations Chair Rosa DeLauro from Connecticut, don't include her on your Christmas card list. She wanted to take 25% of the entire recon for the American people for her project. A little greedy. She's like that person who takes every last crouton at the salad bar. What did she want to do? She wanted to take $556 billion of the entire $2 trillion recon for childcare credits and to run them for 5 years and to tag them to inflation when even my people on SSI and SSDI are not yet tied to inflation. Isn't that so very polite that she just wants to take all the money and just, yeah. Scrooge, it's not Christmas yet. Needless to say, it's not happening. Everyone else in the Democratic Party is smart enough to have blocked that, so that is not happening. It's going to be 1 year, and the price tag at 1 year is $109 billion, not $600 billion. My goodness. Will we get this done on Friday, or will we have to go to Saturday, Sunday? My opinion, I think we're going to Saturday, Sunday. And it's going to be a big, eventful weekend here on Recording with You. Joe Manchin, when asked whether the Joe Manchin was asked really bad questions yesterday by bad reporters. Joe, will they be talking about the recon after tomorrow? Talking about? Sure, we're going to be talking about it. Okay. What does that question mean? That's what the question said, but Joe Manchin gave us some clarity. He said, we're making good progress. There's a lot of details. You'll see the text and the fine print. It's hard to make a final decision until we have the text and hard print, but we're agreeing upon the intent. Good. Bernie says that he thinks that the end of the week is ambitious. I would expect Bernie to say that. Why? Because they're going after his dental, vision, and hearing. Steny Hoyer, I think, is the one that I really would rely upon. He's the House Majority Leader. He's the guy who tells you come back into town to vote and things like that. He said on Thursday, we're still trying to get a framework in the next 48 hours. So he's not guaranteeing it, but that is the endeavor. And Pelosi says, we're working very hard to get it done by the end of the week. Battleground. The battleground items are climate and Medicare. Tax provisions like paid leave, the Pelosi provision, still in jeopardy. Medicare expansion, which is the dental and vision, the Bernie provision, in jeopardy. Climate, one person, Representative Amy Bera out of California, said, you know what? You can't get all the climate. Just get what you can get and go with it. I would like to see us get a little bit more climate, but if we can't, just let's just move on. Amen. I mean, what are you doing? We're going to run another week for one more climate provision. Just end it. And then Jalapal has my favorite quote of the day. It's always she gives the greatest quotes. She says, it would be outrageous not to include something so desperately needed to be done that is our most popular part of this entire package. And it's something that we all of us ran on. What is she referring to? I have no idea. I have no idea. The quote doesn't even say, and the article didn't even say what she was referring to. Maybe she's referring to the half off at TJ Maxx on scarves on Friday. I don't know what she's referring to, so there we go. Now, what do I think is going to happen? I think we will be looking at more negotiations on Saturday and Sunday. These people have worked Saturdays and Sundays before, so I don't think it's unusual that we continue this into Saturdays and Sundays. Student loan debt is sort of indicative of where these people should put their heads back on correctly. That representative from California who said, just take whatever climate provision you can and go. I would wish she would pick up the phone and call Liz Warren and Chuck Schumer when we talk about student loan debt. President is now saying he'll forgive another $10,000 of student loan debt. Take it. Take it. What are you doing? The president over the last year has always said 10,000. He's not going to go to 50,000. It's been a year, and he's been a senator for 365 years, so he's not going to change his opinion. It's $10,000. Take it. You don't have to say I'm closing the door on 50 years, but you can certainly structure the deal to say it's at least 10 years now, and away we go. The president has now forgiven three other student loan debts right before that. First, he gave student loan debts for individuals who became disabled after graduation. Then, in the last few days, the president forgave student loan debts first of individuals who went into the nonprofit sector for 10 years after graduation. Incredible. But the big one, the big hurrah was forgiving student loan debts, which the president did for individuals who went into the public sector for 10 years after graduation. This is people who became city employees, county, state, or federal employees. You go to work for the public schools. You don't make enough money to pay off your student loan debts. You go to work for Department of Sanitation. You're a truck driver. You're a sanitation driver. You don't make enough money to pay off your student loan debts. Now they're forgiven. Finally, the president says he will forgive that last $10,000. I think the Democrats should just take it. People's debts would be forgiven during the holiday season. Would be absolutely incredible. Then what's also getting incredible is we're getting new updates of our fifth stimulus. Wow, I'm very excited. No one's been recording more fifth stimulus videos than I am because it's for you. It's for those SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, veterans benefits, and SSA beneficiaries. What is the latest update? You see a graphic about COLA. It's anchored on that. Let me explain. Social Security Administration last week announced everyone's benefits are going up next year 5 to 6%. This is great. Why? Because this is about what we were looking at if they had done fifth stimulus about this time of year. But it's even better because it's only one of three lifts-offs you'll get if they pass fifth stimulus. And those two other lift-ups would come right behind this next year. Let's go over the analysis. What's important to understand is that once your benefits go up, they never go down. So whatever check you're getting today, this month, you're never going to see again. You're never going to see that smaller check. You're always going to have a bigger check. Next year, benefits are going to go up this one big lift, 5 to 6%. But fifth stimulus comes right behind it, which raises your benefits up if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, one big time, one lift. Then they apply the new benchmark next December, and there will be inflation. And inflation is going to be 1 to 3% next December. That means you're going to get three lifts in 1 year. First, COLA going up. Then from that point, you're going to be lifted up again with an additional lift. Then on top of that, you'll go up again on top of that when they apply the new benchmark next December. They're going to move the asset cap dating back to the 1980s law that says you can't have more than $3,000 on hand. It's going to go away. They're going to move the income cap dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. And finally, the marriage penalty is going to go away and love is going to win. But what is this? Bring it in frame. There we go. A big update about fifth stimulus. John Yarmuth, who's the House Budget Chair, Democrat from Kentucky, says he's spoken to Pelosi and said, get ready. We're going to do fifth stimulus right after this because it's a big winner for the American people, like you, and a big winner for the Democrats. Why? He says it sets up the midterm elections brilliantly. And boy, is this smart political theater. It is. He says, get every provision that is wonderful like this, all in the recon, like Medicare expansion, child care, senior care, depending on what else we want to put in this package, get it all together, and then introduce it as recon, and then set it for the Republicans to vote against and pass it by recon, and then turn to the American people during the midterm elections and say, we got you Social Security raises, we got you more senior care, and the Republicans, they voted against it. Vote us in, and I love it. Of course, the reaction is also hysterical. Senators who they can't do a lot of stuff at the same time. They can't blow a bubble of gum and tie their shoes at the same time. Ron Wyden says, we got our hands full at the moment. I have too much to deal with. John Tester said, I haven't even thought about that. Brian Schott says, one thing at a time. I'm trying to tie my shoelace. It's too complicated. There we go. Meantime, this channel turns 1.5 years old this Sunday. And over the last year, this channel has amassed 140 million views, but we've also learned a lot about ourselves. And a lot about ourselves is quarterly, of course, indicated in that CBS poll that says Americans just don't know about the recon. Information is what leads a person to a better environment. When you know more about things, you always do better. I don't care what the information is about, whether it's financial information, information about your potential spouse, information about your community or your home or the home you're going to buy or the car you're going to buy. The more information you know, the more information you always are better. And what we learned early on this channel is that you should embrace information. The more you can become informed about something, the better it is. And often it's important to understand that information separates people. And if you're separated from another group of people or another person because you have more information, do not think negatively upon yourself. It's a good thing. And it is even last night that I received a comment on Facebook where a person basically said something along the lines of, this money for rent and utilities and food, which I've been getting people on this channel since December of 2020, the only people getting it are the Purple Power. No one else gets this money. Which embodies so much in that statement. One, it means that the person believes that you don't have information. You have some sort of inside track, that you just sort of have some like back door to enter or some, secret code that you can say at the door that people, just say, purple, just say, $12 ice cream. Oh yes, of course. Here's some money for rent. It's sort of, again, an attempt to say they don't know more information. They just have some inside route on things. We have no inside route on things. We just learn things, and we learned how to do things. Last year, when we were doing with those EIDL loans and those EIDL loan applications and grants, it was the true embodiment of how every microcosm of information. And how did I learn to make those recordings? From you, the viewer. I didn't know what the problems were until you told me what the problems were. And people said, this is what happened to my application. And then I realized, wait a second, I see a commonality occurring here. And of course, one of the burst expressions of this channel was the 330, the 4-8 vortex. What was an expression referred to? It was referred to people who had applied on March 30th for this program for grants and were not getting their applications approved or even processed, while people who applied weeks, if a months later, got approved in seconds. Why did it happen? We found it out because we talked amongst ourselves. People said, I applied on 330. I applied on 331. I applied on 329. Then a lot of people saying I applied on 48, 48, 48, 48. Suddenly we saw a commonality. And that is what happens across the board. There's always someone who thinks that they are outside of the equation. And never think about that yourself. Even on one of the morning shows today, someone said, why are they only sending out stimulus in certain states? No, this is a national broadcast for people across the country. And there's immediately someone saying that they are different than everyone else. I'm in this state and they're not going to do this recon in my state. This is just a recon. For stimulus recon is just for certain states. No, it's for every state. It's for you. And some reason people want to be in Europe, it's very common. Some people in Europe, it's very common that some people think if I live in the north part of this country, I'm going to be treated differently than if I live in the south part of this country. What we've learned as a community here, and I'm still working on it, is to show people that everyone gets the same treatment when you turn to a federal program. It doesn't matter what state you are across the board. Unless they inherently put a provision in there like SBA that says, unless you do this, we're not paying you the money. Unless it's a program like that or something that says low-income community or something like that, then you are treated across the board the same way. And that is how you feel when you're part of a community. When you're part of a community like this, you realize, wait a second, I'm going to become a better person because I've learned this information. And the more information I learn, the better I am. The more information you have, the better off you are. It's always a positive. So always try to learn as much as you can. And I always remember some of the very first comments on the very first crypto videos on this channel. People said, I want to learn this. I find this fascinating. I want to learn it. I want to figure out how to do it. And I said, listen, I want to show you how to take yourself to another step. Crypto investing starts at $20. You can buy a $20 position of crypto and turn that $20 into $40, turn that $20 into $25. And I had a lot of viewers who just did that. They just started with $10, $15, and suddenly they had $30, and suddenly they had $37, $75. It was just an extra $400 they made in that month because they just sort of took it slowly. And that is how you move together as a family. When you value information, that you find comfort with other people that also value information, and that you understand that this is a group in which the more information you get, the better you off are across the board. Join me next with Evenings LA, which heats up, and then we have Overnight's Crypto. But we got shows at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 10 o'clock, and 11:30, all tonight, all about forced stimulus. Right after Evenings LA is, of course, Evenings Countdown, our hit show, which last night I think was really one of our most watched Evenings Countdown show as well. So Evenings LA at 5, Evenings Countdown at 6, and then shows every hour on the hour until the night, and then we return tomorrow morning at 3 and 3:30 before 4 a.m.'s mornings, early mornings LA. So subscribe, 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record, and stay with LA for more.